gonna open my wine and let it whine while I do the intro. So, some of you might know I'm a film major, or I was a film major. I now have a complete degree in the subject. It's a bachelor. Yeah, that's 8 ounces. It is a bachelor's degree, and we learned how to do everything from beginning to end. Now, that being said, I have kind of always enjoyed reviewing movies, and I thought, I have a YouTube channel and want to work on editing, so why not review movies I've never seen before? So I sat down at work while we were slow, and I just put it on to the side, and then I rewatched it again later. A movie that I've never seen before, which I was told many times by many people in my life that I need to see, which is The Notebook. I've heard things about it. I've heard multiple things, as in, like, it's a really good movie, oh my god, you're gonna cry, which I very rarely cry at movies, so I was like, we'll see. But at the same time, I've also heard about the, like, toxic stuff in the movie, and I wanted to kind of make the decision for myself before I was just like, oh yeah, it's a bad movie because blah blah blah. I don't know. I'd never seen it, so I wasn't gonna make an assumption on it. Now, my first thoughts on the movie, when I first started, was, oh my god, I'm gonna hate this, because it was a romantic movie, which is not my speed, as I've stated. But it opened with about 2 or 3 minutes of a dude rowing in I think it was supposed to be sunrise, but it looked like sunset. And so I was like, this better have something to do with the movie. Which eventually, it kind of did. One scene. He wasn't a competitive rower, like, it was just one scene of him rowing. I guess because, like, in the backstory, he went out rowing all the time after he got back from war or whatever, so it was like a thing that he did, was he went rowing, and I'm assuming as they furthered on in their life, he would row them out into the wild where the geese. No, it wasn't geese. It was like swans were? I don't know what birds they were, but they were migrated birds. That's what I remember from that scene. Also, this is going to be everywhere because my brain just hip-hops, obviously, from scene to middle of the movie. Anyway, it introduces the 2 old people, the old versions of them, Noah and Allie. And he, for some reason, is being called Duke the entire time, as if we're meant to believe that he's just some random old nice dude that's reading this woman a story. That's what we're meant to believe. So, okay, cool. I know how the movie ends already. So I knew right off the bat that he was him, dude. He was Ryan Reynolds when Ryan Reynolds was young. Okay, that's what I knew for sure. I'm watching the movie, and it goes on, and he's doing the whole, reading her the story, which it's very sweet. I think the old couple was probably the most romantic and heart-wrenching part of the entire story, or the entire film. And I know this is based off of a book, so I'm not sure how in the book, whether it would, like, cut back to the old dude, like, if that was even a part of it, of him reading her the Notebook, which I'm sure it was, because it's called The Notebook. Wow, Jesse, that's smart. But no, so then of course it goes back to flashback mode, back in the 40s. Other than really the cars and maybe sometimes the clothes and architecture, did this movie look like it was in the 40s? The way they talked wasn't really 40s-ish. The way they acted wasn't really 40s-ish. They made out so much in public. So much! I'm sitting there going, oh my god, I'm just watching this and I'm uncomfortable. There's no way this would have happened in the 40s between a 17-year-old girl and him who's who knows how old, probably about 18, but still. No way. No way that there's that many people just cool with them making out on the side of the road. I digress. The beginning of the movie really pissed me off because the beginning of the movie made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Of course, he pulls the douchebaggery of climbing up onto the thing, the Ferris wheel, and is like, go out with me or I'm gonna end up dying. And so she's like, okay, I'll go out with you. And you know, the entire time she's acting like, oh my god, this is annoying, but she finds it impressive. You can tell, or at least that's how the actress played it off. I don't know if that's how it's meant to be perceived, but the way how she was always like, you think you're so cool. You know, you're smooth. Like, that kind of deal. It was like, And the thing is, I wanted to hate Noah because he was such a dick. But sometimes he had really good advice. Oh, screw what everybody else wants for you. What do you want for you? Don't care about what I want. Don't care about what Lon wants, even though Lon was hot as fuck. James Marsden. Oh my god. How could you pick Noah over that? I'm offended. I'm not even through my first glass. I might finish this whole bottle tonight. Anyway, back to the beginning. Before we get into the beauty that is James Marsden. He does the whole, you know, the Ferris wheel douchebaggery thing, and then a couple of days later, I don't know how much later, he sees her just randomly on the street. Don't know how small this small town is, but it is the 40s, so I'll let it pass. I'll let it pass that he's just walking and just happens to see her walking in small town, South Carolina. So, it is, I think it's South Carolina. I know they mentioned like Columbus or whatever, and I think that's South Carolina. Anyway, he stops her on the street, and he's like, you remember me? She's like, yeah, I remember you. You're the dumbass. And he's like, cool, what about our date? And this girl tries to play off like, what date? No, you know exactly what date. He hung off a Ferris wheel. That's when you go, you're not serious, are you? I just said that so you wouldn't die. Dumbass. Anyway, she turns him down, and he's like, there was a part, and because I watched it with subtitles on, and subtitles even caught this ish, where he goes, I get what I want, you know, and when I see something I want, I fall in love with it. He was gonna say, I gotta have it.
And when I see something that I like, I love it.
I see you. But honestly, this part is really as toxic, honestly, as it gets, because, like, they admit that they fight all the time, which I guess it really did kind of bother me that there was no chemistry really whatsoever between these two characters, other than the fact that they really liked making out, and then eventually really liked having sex. There was really no build-up between the two of them, because what happens is, her best friend, who's a shitty best friend, knowing that she does not want to go out with this guy, I need more wine, knowing that she doesn't want to go out with this guy, sits there and is like, oh yeah, no, me and my dude are gonna trick you to coming to see this movie with me, and he's gonna be there, even though I know you don't want to date him. That's a best friend that's not a best friend. That's a best friend that's trying to get laid. Or that's a best friend who's trying to get her boyfriend's best friend laid. That's what that is. That's not a best friend. Caroline, Nico, Ashley, Monica, any of y'all do that ish. I'm done. We're not friends. It's not real friendship. I know I've been single for a while, but that's where I draw the line, is when I've said no to this person twice now. More than twice, technically, because she said it multiple times up on the Ferris wheel. The other people in this movie are what pissed me off, I think, more than the main couple. Because, honestly, the main couple, they weren't that bad. But then, of course, she still doesn't, like, after this movie, like, she shows up to the movie. I just completely went from one train of thought to another. She went to this movie. Her best friend was like, oh, ha, Noah's here. Oops. So then she sits in the movie, and she's, of course, sitting next to her two friends who, in the 40s, in a movie theater, just making out, tongues down each other's throat. So Noah comes around, he sits next to her in the theater and all that kind of stuff, and since it's a movie, they didn't talk at all during it, but for some reason, when they walked out of the movie, friends are like, oh, we're gonna go, you guys wanna come with? Oh no, we're gonna walk together. Why? No, you go, nah, I'm good, can you take me home? Because clearly, like, what happened to where he sat next to you in a movie? Why do you all of a sudden want to walk home with this guy? Like, that's my main issue, is how quickly this, like, shifted from, you're annoying, you're obnoxious, you're a player, why would I ever want to date you, to, oh, my friends were macking in a movie theater, now I like you. That's my one big issue with this entire thing, is that there was no reason as to why. Like, oh yeah, he pulled the whole, oh, I used to lay in the street with my father and we'd watch the lights turn. And, okay. Still doesn't explain why the hell she wanted to walk home with you. And also, out during the walk home, oh, it's been forever since I've seen a movie, I'm so busy. Then you proceed to spend nothing of the summer of doing what you say you're so busy all the time doing. You're supposed to have French and Italian or Latin or something, and then piano lessons and all this stuff that you're supposed to have to do, but instead you spend all your time with Noah. Aren't your parents a little peeved? See, the first half of this movie, or the first third of this movie really pissed me off, and then the second half, or the rest of it had James Marsden, so it's a little better. But just pretty much everybody else in the movie really pissed me off, other than Noah and Allie, after the summer ended. Because they proceed to spend the rest of the summer together, falling in love and being young teenagers in love. And of course you've got the stereotypical parents, we want to meet him, and we're going to do the embarrassing, oh, how much do you make an hour? How much money do you make doing your job? Because we're rich and you're poor. And I know it wasn't technically her parents that did it, but they were thinking it. Because it's such a stereotypical trope. And it annoys me so much. But again, it was the 40s, so I have to keep my mind frame and that this was based around the 40s, even though I'm pretty sure the dude who wrote this never lived in the 40s. Getting a little ahead of myself again. Anyway, for some reason, she ends up falling in love with him while they dance in the street after walking home. I'm still trying to figure out why she wanted to walk home with him and why all of a sudden she was cool with him. That's what I'm still trying to figure out, but I'm going to go past it and go, they spend the entire summer together, her not doing any of the things that she was supposed to do, us finding out that she gets accepted to this college in New York at the same time that he finds out. I just feel like there were some very important things that happened during the summer that were left out. I'm sure they were in the book. They might have been in the book. I don't know. They, of course, do the cute little paddle boating together in front of her parents and her dad. This was so unrealistic. I'm from the South. I am Daddy's little princess from the South. My dad is from Kentucky. I live in Florida. I'm his princess, okay? There's no way in hell, when I was 17, if my daddy had seen me in a lake making out with a boy, he'd have just been like,
no, it's just summer love.
Summer love, that's it. It's just summer love. And my mom would have been the one mad. I mean, don't get me wrong, my mom would have been mad if she seen me, a 17-year-old, in a lake with some boy. But my dad would have not been, he wouldn't have been like, no. At least don't let me see it. I don't want to see that shit. Alright? Like, like, her dad was just so chill for a Southern father. Okay, and I'm calm again. Now, mother and father have now met Noah. They know that she is spending all this time with Noah. So, when she doesn't come home until way after, like, it's 2 a.m., they call the police. They're concerned, which, understandable, except for the fact that I'm pretty sure you know where she's at. With Noah. Shocker. And this pissed me off even more because later on in the movie, yes, I'm jumping to the end. Later on in the movie, you find out that Mother, who very highly disapproves of Noah, once had a similar situation where she loved a poor boy and her father refused to let it be, so she and him ran away and the police caught them in the next town. So, she does this to her own daughter after knowing what it feels like when a parent does that to you, which, okay, you know what, you can make the same mistakes as your parents. I understand it's a cycle, but Why would you wait till 7 years later to tell her that? Why not be like, I know who you are. I went through the same thing. I don't want you to make the same mistake as me, which is not even what her mother said. Her mom was like, I just want you to make the right choice because I do love your father. I do. I love him so much. I do. But let me look wistfully at this man who barely recognizes me 20 years down the road. Like, why would you not just tell your 17-year-old daughter, look, I made the stupid day. I made the same thing. I fell in love with someone else too. But guess what? I would not have you had I decided to stay with him. I only had you because I have your father. Make some logical choices. Be like, look, you're 17, you're too young, you don't know what it is. Stay in contact with him. If you still love him down the road, then we'll talk. Instead of just being like, no, he's poor. Even though I loved a poor man, you can't love a poor man because I couldn't love a poor. Maybe that's what it was. Is she was angry because her daughter could potentially have what she couldn't have. Holy shit. Still makes me mad. But anywho, mom and dad call the police because they can't find daughter. Daughter's with Noah. Noah hears conversation of, you can't be with him, he's poor. And he decides to leave. They break up. They end up going back home and she goes to college in New York. Flash forward. Oh, no, wait. No, not flash forward. Pause. We're going to go to where she goes to the lumberyard. I didn't realize her and Finn were as close as they were for her to be like, for her to hug him and be like, I'm gonna miss you. Also, where's her best friend in all of this? Finn's girlfriend or whatever. I think that's his name, Finn. Where did his girlfriend go? Because she's not around in that whole scene. She's not seen for the rest of the fucking movie. She's just gone. And I'm a little concerned. But anyway, she leaves, goes off to college. He leaves, him and Finn go to Atlanta. And then they're in Atlanta for like a second when when America joins World War II. I was going to say when World War II starts, but World War II kind of probably already started. So they're like, we're going to go to war, which is very typical, and I'm cool with that. That's a good storyline for anything in the 40s. Captain America did it so much better, though, as well as the representation of the 40s. We're getting to the good part of the movie. My favorite part of the movie, Lon Hammond. I love James Marsden. He's amazing. He's a good actor. And I forgot how attractive he was. Because, like, the last thing I saw him in was Westworld, which is more recent James Marsden. But man, early 2000s James Marsden. Early 2000s James Marsden shows up. And, of course, I recognized him right away despite the bruises and the entire body cast, which really makes me wonder what happened to him, because Finn obviously has passed. Obviously, not obviously, I haven't said that he passed, but anyway, Finn passed, and, you know, that's, like, I feel like this was a really big growing point for Noah, which turned him into kind of the main character that we see at the end, which is a dude I'm not mad at. I didn't find him all that bad in the second half of the movie, where they were 7 years older. Whatsoever. The worst thing that was the Ferris wheel incident. James Marsden shows up and is, of course, dashing as ever in that fucking military uniform. Jesus, they knew how to make him back then. Oh, he's a very attractive man. Anyway, they meet, they fall in love, and honestly, I feel like they showed, I don't know how they did it, but they showed, it wasn't necessarily more of Lon and Allie falling in love, but, like, you got a sense that, like, it was a more true love. Like, I don't know how to fucking word this. Maybe I've had too much wine at this point. But, so, it was one of those things where it showed them going out on multiple dates, basically. And it kind of showed the progression of their relationship, which you could feel was more than just 2 months long, unlike Allie and Noah's, because it was just the summer, and it just showed them at the beach, weirdly her saying, I'm a bird, and Noah seemingly agitated. Oh, I forgot. Oh my god, the sex scene. Oh my god, it was the most realistic thing in this movie. The most relatable thing Allie did was the sex thing. Oh my god, I don't know how I forgot that they almost had, or I don't know if they, I don't know if he got it in. because she started talking a lot. But oh my God, I was cracking up at work trying not to, like, I was holding it in so hard because I didn't want people to be like, oh, what are you laughing at? I'm like, oh, these teenagers having sex. But oh my God, it was amazing where she's like, what are you thinking? What should I be thinking? Am I talking too much? Because it's so realistic. The first time you have sex, you're like, what am I supposed to do with my hands? Should I be, what? And also it wasn't romantic whatsoever. Like, out of nowhere, like, they're like across the room from each other stripping. Like, one item of clothing each at a time. And then they take one step towards each other, then all of a sudden they're on the ground on top of each other. But oh my God, it was just one of those things where she's sitting there and she's like, I'm talking too much, aren't I? I need to stop talking too much. I'm ruining this moment, aren't I? Even though I just was the one that said this, and I'm so sorry. What are you thinking about? How can you not be thinking about this? And it's like the truest thing when it comes to losing your virginity, at least for girls. I don't know about dudes, because I know she was like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, he doesn't have enough blood to be thinking anything else. But oh my God, it was amazing. Oh, I can't believe I forgot that. Anywho, fast back forward to the wonderful James Marsden, Lon and her. It feels like they actually did kind of, have a relationship as opposed to 2 months. Sorry about my backwards tangent on that one. And then, of course, he proposes. It's all very sweet. That is a big-ass rock. A big-ass rock that he got her. Like, homeboy did have money. All right, not that it makes him more attractive. It's that face. He's cute. He is very cute. So, she is trying on bridal dresses. Or no. Noah sees her and decides not to do anything about it, despite having rebuilt this entire house for her. Okay? So, oh yeah, by the way, Noah came home from the war, rebuilt the house that they almost or sort of did have sex in. And then sees her, or goes to get the permits to rebuild the house, sees her with this guy, and does nothing. Just walks away and is like, I'm gonna rebuild this house to impress her. But I'm not gonna let her know that I'm here. Nope. Despite the fact that when you first met, you climbed up on a Ferris wheel, hung by one arm, until she agreed to go out on a date with you. But Noah's dad has died. And she's trying on wedding dresses. And he's put the house up for sale. So she sees the picture of him in front of the house and faints. And I mean, it's a mood. It's a mood. I don't know that I would necessarily faint if I saw my ex, but maybe it's because it was like a long lost love, first love, never had true closure love. That's the why she fainted. Because I know that if I saw one of my exes in the paper, I'd just be like, oh, cool, good for you, BG, glad you're living your life, bruh. We have, when we cut back, we go back and forth between this story and the old people for quite some time. The old people, the old version of them, I guess, would be the more polite way to phrase it. And throughout, when I think around this portion is whenever the kids come to visit and they're like, oh no, they're his kids. They're not your kids. So she leaves, and that's when we find out that he is whichever man she chose. It is now nicknamed Duke. I still hate that. I think it's stupid. There's no reason. They didn't even need to say his name at the very beginning. Why? It's just stupid that nowhere in the film is he called Duke. Not even by Finn. It just makes no sense as to why they would have called him Duke. I'm blaming that on Nicholas Sparks, though, and not the writers of the film. I guess I'm getting nicer the drunker I get. So anyway, now it goes back to flashback time. She drives to the town where the house is, and she does the next most relatable thing, I think, in the entire movie, which is sees him, he sees her, they both are like, and then she's like, I'm stupid, I'm getting in my car and I'm leaving, and then she wrecks. Which is, yeah, same. I mean, relatable. I would totally, I do that when I see people who bullied me in high school at the mall, I dart, so I get it. Where, seeing the person that you loved and then you're engaged to someone else and you love them and you're just like, I'm dumb. I'm stupid. Stupid. So that happens, and he invites her in, and then I will say the slyest move in the movie that he does is...
Well, you go slow then. I don't have to take advantage of you.
You wouldn't dare. I'm a married woman.
Not yet.
I was just like, alright, it's a little dickish, but it's smooth. Smooth but dickish. Mm-hmm. He decides, for some reason, he wants to show her all of these birds. I tried to say earlier what they were. Geese, swan, cranes. I don't know what they are. I live in Florida, not South Carolina. So, they go through, they do that, she feeds the birds, and they're obviously still having that same, sexual tension as they did when they were teenagers. So on their way back, it starts to rain, which makes it all the more dramatic, and I don't know the proper word for it. And they make their way back. When she gets up on the shore, that's when she's like, why didn't you write me? And he's like, I did write you every day, and your mom's a bitch and hid the letters. Okay, he didn't say that, but, that's what happened, is she was a bitch and hid the letters. Instead of, again, doing the smart thing, which is what I suggested earlier, where I was like, see how you feel in a couple of years after you finished college, because you might not want to marry him then. You never know. And then he proceeds to, kiss a soon-to-be-married woman. A soon-to-be-married woman kisses him back, and, I get it, but I just have a really big stance on cheating that I've been cheated on multiple times. Not a fan of it, but I get it. In this circumstance, it's supposed to be romantic. We're supposed to sort of forget, like she does, that she's marrying another man, I'm assuming. Anywho, they make their way back to the house, ditching their clothes along the way. You get some good side boob action. I had to change the computer screen so fast at work when I realized that there was titty. But anyway, they have actual sex this time. Real sex, not her overthinking sex, which makes me wonder, has her and Lon had sex? Has she had more than one man? Or is Noah the only one that can get her that? Because the noise she made when he gave her the ring. I mean, I would have made it just looking at James Marsden, but whatever. Anywho, so they have sex for a couple of days. His side piece, or I don't know, his main piece, and then now she's the side piece, or was Martha always the side piece? I don't know. Martha, War Widow, shows up and wants to meet Allie. And Allie's like, yeah, sure, no problem, even though you've been banging the guy that I just banged. So, it's funny to me, because, I feel like that wouldn't have happened, where it's like, can I meet her? Yeah, sure, come on in, let's have tea. Whereas the guys are like, I'm gonna fight, and the girls are like, oh, we fucked the same... Actually, you know what? No. I mean, if there was no strings attached, I could honestly see it kind of working out, because that's a story for another day. I'm gonna be like, I've been in a similar situation. Story for another day. They meet. She, for some reason, the next morning wakes up understandably naked. That's not the for some reason part, but then proceeds to remain naked while she walks around the home and paints outside on a balcony naked. But okay. Didn't realize the 40s were that free. I thought that was the 60s. So then her mom shows up because her mom's like, Lon's on his way. And I would have been like, good, let him come. I'm sorry, James Marsden. How do you pick freaking Noah over, Lon? I'm sorry. Noah didn't even look good in the uniform. And it's hard to not look good in a military uniform. James Marsden filled that thing out nice. And you're going to sit here. It's like Titanic. It's like picking the rich dude over Leo. I totally just swapped the two circumstances because, rich girl, poor boy, such a trope. But, I'm sorry, Leo was much more attractive than, I think his name was Cal. I don't remember because it's been a very long time since I've seen the Titanic. Just like Lon, much more attractive than Noah. Oh my God, especially because Noah's got this scraggly dead cat on his face. she goes on the ride with her mother, and that's when the mother does the whole, I've been where you've been before. Don't make the choice that's right for you. Here are the 365 letters that I've hidden from you for 7 years. Now, make a choice. And then, Noah, make a choice. And then the only one who's like, well, and okay, I give Noah credit. Noah's like, make a choice based off of what you want. Don't care what I want. Don't care what Lon wants. Don't care what your parents want. What do you want? And that's where the whole meme of, what do you want? I don't know. And it's a couple trying to figure out what they want to eat for dinner, which, I mean, that's anybody trying to figure out what they want to eat for dinner. Like, that's me inside my head trying to figure out what I want to eat for dinner. Anyway, good advice from him, figuring out what you want instead of what everybody else wants for you. Yes, down for it. Totally here for it. Go, Noah. Dig this new, improved, mature you. Okay? And then she goes back to her hotel, and he assumes that she has left him for Lon because he makes the douchebaggery remark of she's only interested in money. And, you know, they have a fight, and that's where the whole, that's what we do, is you call me, a cold-hearted bastard, or whatever. I think that's what he said. And I call you a pain in the ass. And so she leaves. She goes to talk to Lon. Lon does the reasonable logic thing where, you know, he sees 3 options, where she leaves, she fights him, you know, she leaves, he fights Noah. I think it's he kills Noah or something like that. I don't know. There 2 of the options were harming Noah, which I'm fine with. I am biased towards Lon, if you cannot tell. He makes the smart move of, you know, whatever, you know, is the choice that she made, you know, whatever choice, you know, none of them get me you. And she does love him, and she does love Noah, and it is possible to be in love with 2 people at the same time. The famous additive or word or advice, the quote that I have heard about this is, if you are in love with 2 people, pick the second one, because if you truly loved the first, you wouldn't have fallen a second time. So I'm assuming that means that she is a decent reason as to why she picked Noah. However, we never really see why she picked Noah. It's Lon going, it's your choice. You know, what do you want type deal. Same thing Noah did. So there's that on Lon's side too. You know, Noah and Lon have the same, you know, do what you want, what makes me good for you. And Lon also looks the way he does. I mean, the big downfall is that she said he comes from old Southern money, which means slavery. Not cool, Lon. Not cool. It cuts back to old people, and that's when Allie comes back from her dementia. I think Alzheimer's, when she has clarity for a couple of moments, and she realizes that the man who's been telling her the story is Noah, who she chose. And it cuts to a scene of her coming to his house with the bags in the car, and that's the last we see of them as young people, and the rest is absolutely heartbreaking. It really is. You know, it was probably the most gut-wrenching part of the movie was whenever she remembered him, they had a couple of minutes together, and then she started freaking out as to who this man was that was holding her and all that kind of stuff, and then the nurses came in, and it was very upsetting, and it's a sad reality of the disease. You know, the movie gets very sad from that point on. It's basically the opposite of Up, where Up starts off really sad, ends kind of happy. Notebook starts kind of happy, ends very sad. And, you know, he has a heart attack. She is put, I don't know if she's put in a different ward or what, because, like, I don't know exactly what it was, because it was one of those things where, like, she was taken to a different area of the hospital. I'm assuming because he was still able to get to her at the very end, but at the same time, I don't know why all of a sudden she was moved departments or whatever, or sections, but I don't know what happened as to why she was, like, transferred sections in the hospital. But anyway, she was in a different part of the hospital. He came, she woke up, saw him there, and that nurse was so not smooth, and he's so stupid for not getting it. Like, she's like, I'm gonna take a very long coffee break and not check on you for the rest of the night. Okay? And he's like, she leaves, and he's like, but she's got a full cup of coffee. Huh. Really, Noah? Out of all of the trouble that you got into in your youth, you can't take a damn hint? Anywho, he finds Allie. She wakes up and she is once again Claire has clarity and remembers who he is. Like, I don't know necessarily, because I've never had anybody in my family have Alzheimer's or dementia. So I've never experienced it. I don't know exactly how it works when it comes to being that close to the end, but I have heard that people very sick when they are close to dying do have a moment of clarity and everything being fine right before the end. So I will give it a pass on that as to how she wakes up and immediately remembers him as being Noah, because most of the time apparently he has to read the notebook to her in order for her to come back for a couple of minutes. So I'm going to let it pass as it being the fact that she was about to die, because she does in fact die at the end. And I also, I feel like it was a part of the book, but I don't know that it was a part that they incorporated in the movie, and I kind of wish they had, because at the end they're like, do you think our love is magic enough to, to keep us together for, is it strong enough for this? Whereas never in the movies was it, our love is strong enough to keep us together, despite how far apart we may get, like that kind of deal. It was never stated in the movie, and it might have been in the book. That was like the main thing from the old people storyline that I didn't like, was that all of a sudden there were like these weird, what should have been references that weren't really ever explained. They die. That's what I was getting at. They die. No, he climbs up on the bed, he's like, yes, our love can keep us together forever, and all the stuff that she basically needs to hear. And apparently he was also telling the truth, because he climbs up on the bed with her, which is much too small for these two older actors, which y'all couldn't have gotten them a little bit bigger of a bed. Like, that poor man's back and hip had to be hurting. All right. So they die in their sleep together. And then Nurse comes in. Nurse finds them. And that's the end of the movie. Is them dead together, which I get. It didn't make me cry. It honestly, them dying together, like a bunch of people were like, oh my god, it's so sad, it's so sweet, it made me cry so hard. Honestly, that didn't even really get me as much as her Alzheimer's episode, of going back and forgetting him again. Because, and the guy who played old Noah, fantastic. Sometimes the acting in this was very shoddy, sometimes, again, with the periodness of it, wasn't all quite there, but he did a fantastic job in that scene of portraying the upsettingness. And again, I've never gone through it, but I couldn't imagine having somebody that I love that much all of a sudden go from remembering me and loving me to being freaked out and scared and wondering who the hell you are and why are you touching them and all that kind of stuff. I couldn't imagine. He did a very good job with it. Overall, not a bad story. There were obviously certain plot holes. I feel like a lot of stuff was skimmed over because it was a movie. It's a good movie. I don't know that I would necessarily watch it again or be like, oh my god, movie night, let's watch The Notebook. If I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do a Marvel movie. Something like that. Probably, but overall, it wasn't bad. Overall, it was a lot less toxic than I thought it was gonna be. So, because I remember seeing I think it was BuzzFeed was I rewatched The Notebook and OMG. It was yes, the beginning part of how he acted was borderline abusive with the whole, go out on a date with me or else I'm gonna fall from the circle thingy. Ferris wheel, that thing. That kind of reminds me of the less extreme, well, not less extreme, because either way there's still death involved, but the extreme version of, oh, if you leave me then I will hurt myself, which not good, but he clearly comes out of it. By the time he gets older he's a lot better, and yeah, they both admit that they fight a lot, but if that works for them and he or she never physically abuses the other, and, they still love each other in the end, and there's no, detrimental like mental fuckery going on with the fights that they have, you know, and it's just along the lines of, you know, shut up, you're a jackass. Oh yeah, well whatever, you know, you're a dumb bitch. Like, okay, maybe not you're a dumb bitch. That is a bit harsh. But I mean, as long as it's not like super mentally and emotionally abusive when it comes to the fighting, I don't see a big issue with it. People fight. It's not inherently unhealthy to fight. I say in all my grand wisdom of singleness, but it's not bad to have disagreements. It's, you know, when it gets into the whole, oh, you know, super negative, super manipulative type of fights, that's when it gets bad. But I don't see where what they did was bad. There wasn't really much chemistry other than sexual tension, in my opinion. And I don't know, again, if that was just the actors or stuff had to be cut out because it was from the book adaptation or what, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where I feel like there was quite a bit missing when it came to the development of their relationship. And I get that there obviously was not a lot of Lon's development because she was never supposed to end up with him. But I do, for some reason, I feel like, and this, yes, I might be a little biased because I like James Marsden, I feel like that there was like a legitimate like, hey, this is how they fell in love. Whereas halfway through the development of, hey, this is how Allie and Noah fell in love, Noah's like, oh yeah, you're a bird, I'm a bird, whatever. Like that kind of deal. Like he was just kind of over it at that point. And I think that's a little weird, and I don't know quite where that was coming from or where that shift happened. So yeah. That was my review of The Notebook. Pretty good. If you feel like watching a romantic movie that you don't have to really pay attention to, that's how I would rank this. Is if you want to watch a romantic movie with a decently looking male lead and a very attractive second male lead, this is the movie. I will be back at some point and a little bit more sober because I finished the whole bottle. Yeah. Subscribe, comment, like if you have seen The Notebook and have particular opinions. Please let me know down in the comments. Let's discuss. Let's have movie review discussion time stuff things. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye.